Attention Guilford County, are you ready for positive change in our schools? Introducing Bill Goebel, a true champion for our students, parents, and teachers. With years of experience and unwavering dedication, Bill Goebel is the leader we need on the school board. As a current member representing District 3, Bill is already making a difference, shaping policies that benefit our community. Vote for Bill Goebel for school board, and let's build a brighter future for Guilford County together. Paid for by the committee to elect Bill Goebel for school board.
Coming up in this episode of Finding Common Ground.
But yeah, I don't think that if black people would have stormed the Capitol, Bill, it would have been the same outcome, even to the point of people saying that, it wasn't really a riot, it was just a tour of the Capitol.
Listen, getting back to Mark Walker. So we don't know what happened. We'll find out, when he's ready to talk. He basically said this is an opportunity that he couldn't turn down, and so we'll just have to wait and see.
There are two sides to every coin.
How do we deal with racial issues when they affect relationships?
Finding common ground on all those issues that we come against.
There's black and there's white.
And I think as Christians, we have to learn how to get together because we're not in heaven.
I've met more interesting people just by God just bringing them in.
Republicans and Democrats.
But a lot of times, when it comes to race and it comes to culture and it comes to perception, even as Christians, we don't always understand. We look at it through our lenses.
There's Bill.
I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland called Parma.
Any black people in Parma?
There was not one.
Not one black person,
Not
Bill?
one.
Come
Not
on, Bill.
one.
You got to have one.
Nope.
Token black person? A token?
And there's Odell.
I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, public housing, single mom, divorced single mom of 4 kids. And I came up through segregation and all that kind of stuff.
If a black person drove through the town, the police would stop and escort him out.
Bill and Odell are finding common ground.
A part of what we have to do is listen to each other, find the common ground, and question, not questioning you like you're on a witness stand, but questioning you for better understanding.
Father God, we just come to you in the precious name of Jesus Christ. God, we just thank you for your grace and for your mercy and just protecting us, God, on the highways and the byways. God, just thank you for protecting us from seen and unseen danger. God, we still believe and we still trust in you. And God, we still say, God bless America. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we just lift up our country as we go through trials and tribulations. Thank you for letting me get the 3,100 signatures that I got and meeting that many people and talking to them. And thank you for them being willing to sign my petition to put me on the ballot. And help Dory as she recovers from her thyroid. And let us have a great week. Amen.
Bill. The good-looking black guy is back, but I'm in my Obama gear. Barack Obama, baby. Black is back, baby. Black is back. I got on my Obama hat. I have on my Obama shades. And you know why? Why would I wear Barack Obama outfit, Bill? Why?
You didn't have anything else to wear today?
No, Bill. I even have my Barack Obama, bobblehead. Black is back, Bill. Black is back. Democrats are back, Bill. We're running, Bill. We're running now. So I just don't know, Bill. I don't know. But I thought about something that's happened. Bill, we went up to the mountains this weekend. Mm-hmm. You, myself, and the missus.
Yep.
And we all went up there, and I caught myself on something, Bill, that I thought I wouldn't get caught on. I got caught on the backside of the mountain, coming down a mountain, 2-lane mountain roads with no guardrails, Bill. No guardrails, and you were driving.
And a cliff on the side, your side. Not my side, your side.
And everybody know Odell don't like heights. So let me lay it out to the audience real quickly before we get into the politics of it all and Elon Musk comments on diversity, equity, inclusion, and racism, and all the things we're going to talk about today, national, local, Roy Carroll in the House, and all that kind of stuff that people have no idea what we're talking about. But we're going to lay it out. But we have to first talk about the 2-lane road going around the side of the cliff that Odell found himself holding on to, but didn't have anything to do with it. Sometimes you find yourself in situations with nothing to do. So we went up to the mountains Appalachian Mountains, and we went up to Blowing Rock and had a great time, great weekend, resort, all that good stuff. And then we went joyriding. And next thing I know, we did a quick little left. And at first it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is about a 10, 12 feet fall if Bill run off the road. And shouldn't be, you don't want to run off the road, but it's like, oh man, that's going to hurt.
I've only run off the road once.
I understand that. But then the road is not a straight road, because if anybody know about We'll Be Coming Up the Mountains When They Come, the song, it's a road, Bill, it's a road, and other people coming around the roads. And the thing about a mountain, you can't see what's coming, and other cars are coming fast, and we're driving. And so Odell had that little thing on the car that you reach out and you grab the little handle, and I just start pulling the handle, and I could find. Then I just got quiet, and I said, "Okay, God, me and you gonna get us through this." And Bill, what were you thinking while you were driving around the curves? Other cars coming, and we got higher and higher, and it was no guardrail. So if we went off the side of the mountain, it wasn't nothing there to catch us but sweet Jesus.
I don't know. I had my eyes closed.
Man, don't start that, Bill. Don't start that, because, Bill, the problem was this. I don't know this is true. I think it's true. Usually the president of the United States of America and the vice president of the United States of America cannot fly on the same plane.
Right.
Because if something happens, we need somebody to be safe.
Yep.
Well, I was in there in the car along with my wife, of course, your wife, Dory, and you were in there. So the four of us was in there. But for me, you had the president of our family and the vice president of our family in the same vehicle.
Oh, and the trustee of our family.
And the trustee of the family, exactly.
So we'd have gotten in big trouble.
Right. So now we're like, okay, if this car goes down the side of the road, we're probably not going to make it, because the side of the road is not the side of the road. The side of the road is a 40, 50, 60, 70, 100-foot cliff. And if we don't make it, it's going to set our family, meaning the Cleveland family, back a long time, because Beverly and myself, in spite of and because of, are very pivotal parts of our family. And that's a big deal. So I start thinking, your mind just start thinking, and I'm sure the listening audience, the same situation, where you are a pivotal part of your family is people who's dependent on you, parents, grandparents, but also children, grandchildren. So we're right in the middle. Some people call it the sandwich generation. Some people don't. But it's so crucial that we stick around, thank you, God, to help the lessons from we've learned from our parents and our grandparents, and help pass those lessons on to our children and our grandchildren. And we're not finished with the task yet. Now, of course, nobody know the time or the hour when our time here is up. But I was just thinking about stuff like that, and like, Odell, what are you doing hanging on the side of a cliff, going around bends you can't even see, and it's not even a guardrail? So if and I wouldn't even look, Bill. I wouldn't even look. I wouldn't even look to the side, because there was nothing down there but trees and a big old cliff.
Did get quiet in the car, I got to admit.
Yeah, I'm not the quiet type.
Yeah.
And Bill, you were just driving like no big deal.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was easy. Let me tell you about the time I did roll a van off a cliff like that.
Oh, wait a minute, man. Are you serious?
Yeah, I was in college, and a group of us were going down south of Cincinnati, and we were on a road like that, but it was gravel, and they had just graveled it, and they had graded it. And I had a buddy behind me. He was following us there's, I think, 4 people in that car. I had a van before there was minivans, and I had
like a Scooby-Doo van?
Yeah, like a Scooby-Doo van. I had 4 people in my van, and a lot of the luggage and the food and everything, because we were going to go camping. So I'm driving around, and these guys are a little bit further behind that were following us. And all of a sudden he goes, "You disappeared."
Wow.
I don't know what happened to you. Well, what happened is when they graded the ground, the shoulder was soft, and my wheel caught that soft shoulder, took me right off the cliff. And we rolled 3 or 4 times. And when we stopped rolling, we were on our side, and I look over, and the guy I was with, that we were going camping with, I thought his brains were coming out of his head. I'm looking, what the heck is this? Well, we had beanies and wieners in a big, big tub, and they were all over all of us. And it was all over his hair and his face. I thought his brains were coming out. So we climbed out, and the guys came back, and we went down the mountain, got a guy with a tow truck. He says, "Oh, yeah, this happens a lot." And I'm thinking, holy cow. So he took it down there, and the van was all dented up, but it could start, but the radiator was broken. So I had to leave it there. And I hitchhiked back with 3 buddies at night from Cincinnati. That was an adventure. Some of the people to pick you up back then.
You know, it's to be hitchhiking. But it's interesting you would say that, Bill, because once we were kind of got through the back roads of the mountain, I did see a pickup truck with a little car that you could tell that car had almost looked like a can, had flipped somewhere, and they pulled it out. So I'm sure the people in mountains said, "Oh, that happens all the time."
Yeah, no big deal.
But that don't happen to black folks, Bill. We don't. First thing, we don't live in the mountains. Secondly, we don't drive in the mountains. Thirdly, Odell, what the heck are you doing? Because I can see my black friends like, they come to the funeral. What was Odell doing in the mountain messing with them white people in the first place? See, that's what black people say. Why was he up there? You know you don't do that.
He had no business up there.
He had no business messing with them white folks, driving around the mountain. And this what happened. That's why he need to keep his black behind away from the mountains.
Yeah, well, when you went walking in the morning with Bev, did you feel the same way?
No, because I was walking, and I know I was walking. I felt
control. You had control.
I had control. My feet were on the ground. We walked up from the resort up to Blowing Rock. We had a good time. We enjoyed it. But in the car, Bill, man, I mean, you look over the cliff and all you see is valleys, and it's like God, you just got to help me through this. I got a granddaughter. You got to help me through this thing.
It's a long drive too.
And I didn't think I was going to do that. It's one thing if you know, it's like, okay, we getting ready to go through Fancy Gap, so you could brace yourself. I'm just riding, looking, let me take a picture of this. And next thing I know, it's like, I feel my body tensing up because my body, for whatever, this phobia of heights, I felt like, wait a minute. You done messed around and stepped in it, Odell. You're in it and you can't say anything. So don't talk, don't breathe hard, don't do anything, and definitely don't look over at the cliff because I don't know, man. I don't know. I just got quiet. And I just held on to that little thing. And and my wife, she just got quiet because she kind of knows that I don't do heights and I don't do cliffs. And I'm like, man, just don't let the car stop. So I have to get out. It was humbling enough to the good looking black guy that for a minute there, I just said, I don't have control of this situation. So Bill is driving.
Do you ever have control of a situation?
This was crazy, man. This one was crazy. But, we got through. Yeah. And again, the president and the vice president of the United States of America never in the same plane. And it was me and my wife in the same car. Now, we drive all the time, but not around cliffs. But you didn't drive recklessly. But a couple cars that came around us, they were going pretty fast.
They're poaching. Yeah, they're poaching on our side. There's no doubt about it. Well, the big thing when you do that, you go slow. There's no rush. And if you get a bunch of people behind you, guess what? You find a place, you pull off the side of the road, let them go by.
But it ain't been so many places on the side of the road, Bill. Every now and then it's a place where people pull to the side and do a lookout. Yeah. Like someone want to get and look out. Yeah. And also going down the mountain that the audience would know is when your brakes give out, is places on the side that if a truck brakes give out, it could kind of go hit these sand dunes. It's stuff where
runaway truck.
Black folk don't do runaway trucks, Bill. We don't do the mountains. We don't do the mountains in the wintertime. We just don't do that. But you know what? It's something as simple as falling rocks. So here you go, you're going around the mountain, and all of a sudden a 1,000-pound rock can come falling down the side of the mountain and hit your car and knock you over. My God, thank you for Jesus. Odell, what were you thinking about up there?
Like I said, I had my eyes closed, so I couldn't see anything.
Well, I'm so happy I'm back. I'm here with my Obama hat on. I'm here with my Obama shades. I'm here with my Obama bobblehead because, hey, black is back, baby. The last time North Carolina voted for a Democrat president was President Barack Obama.
Really?
Really, that's
I didn't
it.
know that.
That's it. Hey, North Carolina came through for the black man.
For the first time, the first round or both rounds?
Both rounds.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken,
Wow.
both rounds.
Very impressive.
Yeah, even Republicans voted for Barack.
Yeah. Wow. Good.
And sometimes Republicans don't vote for nobody.
Amen. I know what that's like.
You're getting ready to ask a question, my friend.
Oh, where did you get the bobblehead down?
You gave me the
I
bobblehead,
know.
dog.
I'm trying to remember where I got it.
I don't know. You came from a trip and you came back and said, hey, I got you a gift.
I think it was New York City. I think it was in
I don't know.
New York City.
You gave it to me.
I saw that. I said, that's Odell right there,
Yep,
baby.
yep. You are not.
And I wasn't sure you're going to like it.
Well, but you're not a Barack fan, Bill. You're not a Barack fan. But at the same time.
Well, considering what we have today, I'd say I am.
Well, you know what? I think that right now, to your point, we have a lot going on. And on the national level, the state of North Carolina has been big because they just took the Republican chairman, Michael Whatley, who was just the man here in the state of North Carolina. He was the chair over the state.
Yep, GOP chair.
And I remember interviewing him. Let's see.
I talked to him on the phone a couple times.
Yeah.
I got his private cell phone number.
He's a smart guy. And I remember it was a TV show that I used to do, Swing State. We co-chaired it with Congressman Mark Walker, and I want to talk a little bit about Mark too. And Whatley came on, and he was just, I didn't agree with everything, and he didn't agree with me, but I really enjoyed this conversation. He's a charismatic guy. He's a sharp guy. And obviously, the state of North Carolina have overperformed in the last two elections that the Trump machine decided to call him up because they're focusing in, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the Republican in the room, I'm the Democrat, that North Carolina did such a great job of controlling everything. They want to bring him up to a high level, him being Michael Whatley. And I think they brought in Donald Trump's daughter-in-law. Yep. And they're going to really take it and focus everything on the presidency of the United States. And as a Democrat, I feel good about it because I think they're going to lose because I think Donald Trump has so many issues. And if they put all the money on the presidential race, it's almost like pushing all your chips in the middle and they're not focusing on the down ballots. And I think the down ballots is going to be the big deal. What say you, my friend?
Well, there's only so much money to go around. And if they use it all for Donald Trump, you're right. There won't be money for governor races or state legislature or congressional races. So, there could be a funding issue. And I don't know if they're using some of the Republican GOP money for Donald Trump's defense. He couldn't make they said they talked to 30 insurance companies to get his bond for his $480 million judgment and couldn't find anybody to give him a bond. So now he's filed a petition to have that reduced or delayed.
Can you say that again? Let me tell you what I think with my Barack Obama hat on, which I think you just said. You said, I heard, and my ears are still popping from the winding roads of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
You said that if the Republican Party nationally takes the majority of the money and pay for Donald Trump's legal defense and lawyer fees and everything else, then they're not going to have the same amount of money to run commercials for him or down ballot ads and all that kind of stuff. So that's music to my Democratic ears. That's what you said, my friend?
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't know we'll have to Google and see how much the GOP has in their kitty. And then also we ought to Google and see if legally they can pay for his defense. I don't know about that. Interesting,
my friend. This is going to be very, very interesting. So when you look at President Trump, and if he's sucking all the air out of the room for the down ballots, then that means the Democrats have a chance at the House and the Senate and the governors in certain states and some of the local races. Are you saying we have a chance, Bill?
Well, you might. In the state of North Carolina, you have a governor and you have lieutenant governor and you have the lady who's running for superintendent of schools, and there's one other one. I can't remember what it is, another race. And they are all heavy duty Trumpers, Magna to the max. And they're either going to get in or they're not. And if they don't get in, what happens to the Magna Party?
I don't know, but I'm not underestimating former President Donald Trump. But what I am underestimating is the fact that is only so much of the pie can go around. And in spite of what one may think, a lot of people depend on the down ballot races. Now, speaking of races, our good friend, my good friend, your good friend, Congressman Mark Walker.
Yeah, he's been on the show 2 or 3 times.
Yes, good guy, good guy.
He's your partner in swing state.
He was my partner in swing state. I got so many calls because the last show, we recorded the show a little early, the day before the big announcement was made that Congressman Mark Walker was not going to challenge the young guy, that he would instead concede the race to him. And that was enough. And then it went on to say that he would go on and join the Donald Trump campaign, and he would be the director of faith-based and minority initiatives. I think that's the way it read. And my phone was just blowing up. And people like, hey, that's your boy.
So
what's up with your boy?
He's going to be head of faith-based and minority initiative. Is that what
Yes, I think. Now, I don't know the exact thing, but I think so.
That sounds like the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
No.
Isn't it?
No. I haven't had the pleasure of talking to Mark yet. I'm sure he had a tough race. I saw him on TV. No, you called me. You called me and said, hey, have you heard about Mark Walker? I'm like, what? Because we recorded that Tuesday for Friday, and Mark's announcement was Wednesday. And I'm like, no, I haven't heard. And you're like, I like, what?
You thought it was a joke. You thought
I thought it was. I thought it was. And I saw it on TV, and my friend looked like, oh my God, I kind of know Mark Walker. And he looked like he didn't sleep well that night, because I looked at him and I'm like, wow, Mark looks worn out.
Yeah.
Worn out. And people are like, you still with your boy Mark? And I said, yeah. And it's almost like this. It's almost like the Dallas Cowboy fans or the Carolina Panthers fans. You root for your team, and when your team loses in the playoff, you say, are you still a Cowboys fan? And you have to say, yeah, I'm still with them boys. But now all the people who you were rooting for, they're calling you, razzing you about your team. So I got razzed about Mark Walker, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's still my guy. That's still my friend.
He's still friend. He's still friend. Yeah, that doesn't change that. It's just you question what the backstory is.
I don't know what
there is one.
It's a backstory. I don't know what the backstory is, and people have just been beating me up. But I'll take that beating to a certain degree. And one day, Mark and myself will talk. But right now, you give people their space, because I know that was not an easy decision, and I don't believe it's going to be an easy job going forward, winning over minorities to support Donald Trump, even though some people say that Donald Trump is a magnet for black males. Not a lot of the black males I talk to, but again, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything I can do, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump.
Didn't Trump take advantage of Mark a couple times?
Well, what does take advantage mean?
Well, I had different word.
Okay, I'm kind of sensitive to my friend, but he's your friend too. So let's talk about it. I believe that at one time, Mark was running for Senate against Ted Budd, and Donald Trump endorsed Ted Budd at the at the North Carolina conference down in someplace, and East Carolina, and he did not endorse Mark. I think a lot of that was dealing with
Mark Meadows,
at the time, President Trump's chief of staff. But either way, I think Mark did not get the endorsement. That's one.
And he was told he was.
My understanding was Mark was in the running for the endorsement. So you may know more than I know on that. But yeah, that's one. I'd say that's one. The second time, Mark was running for governor against Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and former Governor McCrory.
Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute, before you go there, wasn't Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson going to endorse Mark Walker, and he actually did an ad, and then he changed his mind and endorsed Bud?
I think that was the Senate, in the Senate race. Yeah, in the Senate race. Yeah.
Senate race.
Thank you. I forgot all about that. I think Mark Walker was a big push to then Mark Robinson when he first gave his speech at the city council meeting or the county commissioner meeting in Greensboro, talking about his guns. And I think is Mark Walker, who was a congressman at the time, that picked it up and tweeted it and really publicized and pushed it. Now, again, that doesn't mean Mark Robinson, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, owed Congressman Mark Walker anything, but they were friends.
Yeah.
They were friends.
Yeah.
And they were friends. And I think you're absolutely right that when Congressman Mark Walker was running for Senate, that it was understood, and I don't know, I wasn't in the room, but it was understood that Mark Robinson was going to support Mark Walker.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then a conversation was had, Trump got involved, and now Robinson endorsed Ted Budd instead of Mark Walker.
That's right. That's right.
So you're right. So that was one time I think Mark may have been promised something or insinuated.
Second time. First time was to run for Senate. He was told he's going to get Trump's support if he ran for Senate. He was going to run against Tom Tillis. They convinced him not to do it, to wait till Mr. Burr was retiring, and he said, then we'll support you.
That's the picture of Mark in the Oval Office with Trump, I think.
And Pence.
Okay.
That's where they made the deal that he wouldn't run against Tillis, and he'd wait for Burr to retire, and he'd get Trump's support.
Oh, you can say Obama, because, hey, black is back, baby. Obama bobblehead, yeah.
You think Obama would do stuff like that?
You know what? I don't. My thing is this, and we'll get back to Mark, and then we'll get off of Mark. But let me just say this. I believe that President Barack Obama, you touching the bobblehead, Bill?
Yeah,
the bobblehead? Okay,
I was trying to see what he's doing with his hand.
Okay, well, his hand's good. One hand's in the pocket.
Yeah, one's in his pocket.
And one's up, not giving the black power sign like President Trump does. Somebody need to let President Trump know he's giving the black power sign, and he'll quit doing it. But some of the stuff that I believe personally that Donald Trump has done or has been accused of doing, if President Barack Obama did one iota of the stuff that President Trump has done or been accused of doing, he would be under the jail.
So you don't think Obama would have said, let's go up to the Capitol and let our voices heard?
No. Black folks don't do that, because if a bunch of black people went up to the Capitol on January the 6th, on those white steps would have been red blood from black bodies. I believe that. And people are like, oh my God, Odell, how can you make a statement like that? Because I believe that. I don't believe that the riot and the crowds and the fact that the command probably would have been given to use deadly force to stop what was going on. Because if you think about
let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
When black people protest,
Uh-huh.
do they show up in combat gear, helmets, body armor?
Bill, being black in America is calculated. When black people protest, on average, we're more like what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. taught us, nonviolent protests. We don't show up in body armor. We don't show up in helmets. We don't show up as the aggressor, because America is different toward black people protesting than they are toward white people protesting. I don't think black people would have been scaling the walls, breaking in the Capitol, doing all the things, and just doing what was happening. And that's a double standard. And we all know that, but everybody knows that. White people know that. Black people know that. Democrats know that. Republicans know that. Everybody know what would have happened if that was a bunch of black people storming the Capitol and we'd have got killed and it would have been justified and everything else.
Well, how about if it was Hispanic or Asian people? I don't know if that's the proper term.
Well, it's the proper term for Hispanic or the proper term for Asian?
Asian.
Okay. I don't know about the Asian community. What I think I know is that the Asian community has been described as the ideal minority. That's not the term they use, but it's almost like just a real good minority group
that knows their place.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. You said that. I'm not saying that. But what I will say is this, though. The Hispanic community, it was interesting. It was one time when I think Bush was in office, the Hispanic community was, not all but some, was protesting. And I remember they had the Mexican flags and everything, just protesting. I looked at them and I said, hey, to myself, because sometimes I talk to the TV, unlike everybody else. I said, y'all don't understand. You in America, you can protest, but you sitting there protesting with the Mexican flag, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Now, the guys who came on January the 6th, they had the Gadsden flag, that's that yellow flag with the rattlesnake, don't tread on me flag. Everybody know Gadsden Wharf, where the majority of slaves came into Charleston, South Carolina. And I know people get upset when we talk about slavery. It's like, Odell, why does everything have to end up with slavery? Because that's where everything started. That's where everything started. So back to your statement. No, black folk.
You're getting so cranked up. I'm taking you up a mountain.
Nah, man, listen.
At night in the clouds.
Listen, exactly. And stop on the side of the road with some guys in white sheet. Guys in white sheet would say, hey, can I give you directions on where to go? Go down that little dirt road, Odell.
Come and see Bubba.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't think that if black people would have stormed the Capitol, Bill, it would have been the same outcome, even to the point of people saying that, it wasn't really a riot. It was just a tour of the Capitol.
Yeah, right. That's what they say about these guys. They were just going on a tour. So listen, getting back to Mark Walker. So we don't know what happened. We'll find out, when he's ready to talk. He basically said this is an opportunity that he couldn't turn down. And, so we'll just have to wait and see, if you think about it, he just ran a very hard race and he'd been running. He ran for Senate, then he ran for governor, and then now he's running for Congress. So this guy's been campaigning for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. You got to be tired of that. And then the second thing is he spent a lot of money on this primary, hoping that he would get 30% and he'd win. And then he wouldn't have to spend so much on, because there's no opponent against them. There's no Democrat running. Right. So if you'd win the primary, you're in. So I think he went all in with his spending. So he had nothing in his bank account. So now he's got to run in a runoff and he has no money. So he's got to go back to all his contributors and try and build up his war chest. And I think he looked at that and said, I got to do that before May 5th. I got to do that like now, because you're going to have to be on air in May. And, I think that when Trump called him, he said, look, we're going to put millions of dollars behind this young kid. You're not going to be able to raise it. You're going to lose. So rather than lose, why don't you drop out and I'll give you a job?
Bill, do you think it's just that simple? Because a lot of people believe, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but a lot of people believe that politics are pure. A lot of people believe that Mr. Smith can go to Washington. And when you sit down and think about it from that perspective, we talked earlier about then Chairman Michael Whatley did such a good job here. They pulled him up. He got a promotion. They went up to D.C. You think about North Carolina Speaker Tim Moore, who was a part of the redrawing of the lines. And he told us in the February 10th interview last year, when I interviewed him along with Congressman Mark Walker on Swing State, how things were going to happen. And I think he got elected. He'll be going to Congress, I believe. And now when you start thinking about these things, you're like, man, is it rigged? Donald Trump said the game was rigged. Is it rigged? Can Donald Trump call Congressman Walker, have a conversation, and all is forgiven and we move forward? Well, because Mark's a good dude. Mark's is a good guy with principles and morals.
Let's take politics out of it.
Okay.
Let's talk about a business deal. Okay. You and I have a
Are you
business.
talking about Hillary and Bill Clinton?
No, this is a business deal.
Okay.
You're buying a piece of property.
Okay.
Okay. And you come to me and you say, Bill, I want to buy that piece of property for $100,000. And I say, Odell, you got a deal. Nothing's signed, but you got a deal. The following day, I get a call from a guy that says, I want to buy that property. And I said, well, I already committed it to Odell. He said, can I ask you how much you were going to pay him? I said, well, I'd prefer not to say.
Okay.
So he goes, well, I'll tell you what. I'll double whatever he said.
Without even knowing.
Without even knowing. So I go back to you and I say, hey, I got a little problem here. This guy's going to give me $200,000 for what you were going to give me $100,000.
But you already committed.
Yeah.
You already committed to me, though.
That's right. So now I'm figuring out what's more important, what I committed to or my pocketbook. Huh?
Come on, Bill.
So the guy
Come on, Bill.
So the second guy calls me up again and he says, can I buy the property? I said, nah, I'm still talking with Odell. He said, I'll triple it. And you say, no, I don't know. I got to go back to Odell. So I go back to Odell and the guy calls me the next day. He says, I'll make it 5 times.
Wow.
At what point is your number that you're going to change?
So are you saying at what point will Odell
Lose that deal?
sell out?
Yeah. Well, here's what I could do. I could go to you and say, I tell you what, I'm going to give you $50,000 to go away.
And then I say 100,000.
I say, okay, you got a deal.
So you paying me not to
Hurt your feelings.
hurt my feelings and exercise the right that you made me a verbal commitment.
Correct. But you walk away with 100,000. I walk away with 400,000.
And everybody's happy.
And I'd probably take you on a road and drive you around at night and
the mountains down the road, and the guys with the KKK hats on want to stop and ask me if I want refreshments.
he's going to say, do you guys have change for $1?
Yeah, right. So, Bill, but now we're not no way insinuating Congressman Mark Walker in here, but you said some conversations were had. Let's be for real.
Sure.
So now, though,
He said it was a 15-minute conversation.
oh, where did all this come from?
It came out in the paper. That's what they quoted him. I don't know if it's true.
Okay, I see. I haven't really even read it because I wait to talk to my friend personally.
Yeah.
So, but
And you know something? He doesn't owe us an answer. That's between him and his family.
I agree.
You know?
Listen, I'm a fan of Mark
Yeah,
Walker.
yeah.
I'm a fan.
You know,
So,
whatever reason he did it, it was out of character. That's the thing that threw us all, because we knew Mark to be this, and then this happened, and it's kind of out of character. And I think that's probably why he felt stress.
me trying not to put that much thought into it, you may be right. And one of the things when we had the TV show Swing State on WGHP Fox 8 TV in High Point, North
Are
Carolina.
those things around on tape?
Oh, yeah, they're still there. You can look at it. We had this running joke. Me and Mark had a running joke, and I would say, and this was in 2023, I would say, no Biden, no Trump. I used to always say, I got a deal for you. And I said this with all the guests. Hey, I got a deal for you. And I said, will you take a deal from a Democrat? And they're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And it's like, would you support me in saying no Biden, no Trump for 2024? And Mark would always say no. This one time, Mark said, well, you might have a deal there. Not that we have a deal, but maybe. And the people who did the opposition research picked that up along with a bunch of other things Mark said, or they said he said, and they ran an ad against him there. So all of a sudden,
Your picture was on the ad.
I'm in the ad.
Yeah.
I'm in that, minding my
But
own
you didn't have your
business.
Obama hat on. I don't know.
Nah, I didn't have my Obama hat on or my Obama shades, but it's to this day, I still say my friend, Congressman Mark Walker, is a good man. I think that he made a tough decision, and I believe that it wasn't just a decision, because what folks are beating me up with is like, okay, we get it if he just dropped out because of didn't want to raise the 500,000 or all this kind of stuff. But Odell, what we don't get is why would he take a job with President Trump? And as relates to faith-based and minority participation, a lot of this is coming from Black folks. Ask me this. And I tell them, I don't know, but it's not my job to defend Mark's decisions. but it is my job to defend my friendship with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Is that
agree
fair?
with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because Mark's is a good dude.
Yeah.
And do you have to defend decisions for your friend Odell? When people like, your friend Odell said this, how can you sit there with him and he says this and says that and everything else? You don't have to defend my words, but I hope you would defend our friendship.
Yeah, I would absolutely do that. And then I'd tell him how scared you are going up a mountain.
Yeah. Well, the truth is true. If Odell's not a big mountain guy,
let me give you an analogy. I was on a school board, and the state legislature changed the law, first time in the history in North Carolina, to kick a school board member off the school board. And my lawyer called me and said, they passed the law on August 15th or whatever it was.
Who started that law?
It was attached by John Hardister to someone else's bill and passed.
Well, didn't John Hardister run for statewide
labor secretary?
How did that work out for him?
He lost by a lot, by quite a bit. So anyhow, they got the law passed, and my lawyer called me and he says, Bill, if you take this to court, we can take it really quickly, an emergency, we get 3 judges panel to look at it because it's unconstitutional.
Wow.
The way the Constitution is set up, or the way the law is set up, is the state legislature has the authority to remove an entire board.
Okay.
But they can't pick one person out and say, you got to leave. Because they do it for me, the Democrats could do it against the Republicans. So he said, it's unconstitutional, it won't hold up, and you'll win. And, I started thinking about, okay, I could take it to court. There's all this other controversy going on. But I decided that after I thought about it, I said, it wasn't going to be a lot of money to take it to court, so we could afford that. But it was more, okay, so I go to court and we go through this controversy. The earliest court would hear it would be in 30 days. So for 30 days, all this rubbish is going on. And I win. So this guy's been sitting in the seat for 30 days. I walk in, I got to kick him out. And then guess what? The state legislature passes another law. And
who was the author of that law?
Well, that they would, if they would, it'd probably be John Hardister again.
So Hardister was busy.
Yeah. And he was pressured by the local GOP. It wasn't John just came up with the idea. He was pressured by the local GOP. So
did the local GOP endorse him and help him raise money to support his statewide run?
I believe so.
Good for them then.
So my viewpoint was, listen, let's put a stop to this. Let's be an adult in the room.
But you and John are friends.
Oh, I still like John. I like John a lot.
I still like Mark.
Yeah. And so
but John worked against you.
Yeah. It's politics.
See that. You're right. See, that's the thing about it. Let's compete as political competitors, not political enemies. Because right now you will have a cigar with John right now. Mm-hmm. I'll meet Mark at Panera Bread for coffee tomorrow morning. Well, because it's not personal.
But here's the thing. Yeah, it isn't personal. But the thing is, who's responsible for putting people in the school board seat? Is it the state legislature? Is it a group of GOP executive committees, which is like 10 people, or is it the voters of District 3?
It's the voters.
I think it's the voters of District 3. So I said, let's put a stop to this. Let's let the voters decide. So because the Republicans theoretically kicked me out of the party.
Now, you're a Republican, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay. And I just want to remind you.
And so they kicked me out of the party. So I said, I'm going to go unaffiliated. Well, they said, in order to do that, you have to get 4% of the registered voters in your district, which is 2,136 signatures. I thought, that should be easy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It's stressful, but we did it. We got over 3,100.
Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah. But the good news is I got to meet close to 3,100 voters. Maybe more than that, because there are people that I talked to that didn't sign. And so it got me to be more grassroots, so to speak. And I like that. I learned so much from the voters and questions they asked that, quite frankly, I didn't have an answer for. But it allowed me to go and check and find out. So I really enjoyed it. Like, I had one guy, and this is interesting, came up to me, and him and his wife, and I said, hey, would you sign? And he goes, where do you stand on music and education?
Okay.
And I'm like, I've never thought about music and education.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I should have said to him, can you explain what you're talking about because I don't understand the question. And he did it kind of harsh. So I got intimidated. So I tried to answer the question.
You got intimidated?
Yeah. So I tried.
Bill Goebel got intimidated?
For just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
So I tried answering him and I totally screwed it up. And he just went, huh, I thought so. And he walked away.
You're not a politician, though. You're not a politician.
No. So today I was at a conference. What was the conference name?
Impact Community Impact Conference,
no,
I'm mistaken.
Something shifted.
Okay, Shift Ed. Shift Ed. Yes.
And it was about bringing a collaboration of hundreds of organizations that serve kids. So I was in this one room and we're doing a breakout session. There's a guy next to me. His name was Jeff. And so what do you do? He says, I work for a nonprofit with music for kids. I go, oh my God. So I told him the story. I said, I still don't know what the answer is. Help me understand this. What does it mean, music for kids? I'm thinking somebody playing a trombone or a drum. And he said, no. For early education, we teach kids how to clap their hands. So kids that are preschool, first off, what are hands? What is clapping?
Wow.
And then you try and do it to rhythm. Then you go clap your knees. You're learning about your knees. So you do stuff to music, and music's the common denominator, and it gives them an education. Like, the hokey pokey?
Yes.
Put your left foot in, you learn your left from your right.
Right.
Turn your body around and shake it all about. You're learning things as a kid that you and I go, oh, that was just a fun thing to do. So, now I would have never thought of that. And they have a foundation. Now, I asked him what he did before that. He said, I work for a company that did music for early childhood. And I said, well, you work for a foundation that does early childhood. He says, yeah, the owners started this foundation to help kids.
Wow. So, Bill, we know the song, She'll Be Coming Down the Mountain When She Comes, right? Back to the mountain.
Yeah.
But now you understand. But the good thing about it, you were man enough to say, I don't know the answer. Can someone help me? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal because one of the things that your problem is, my friend, let me tell you what your problem is, Bill.
It's not driving on mountain roads.
No. You got us back. Independence thinking. You are an independent thinker. I'm an independent thinker, meaning that I am a true blue lifelong Democrat. Everybody knows that. I'm black and good looking. Everybody knows that, right? But now when you sit here and you think about being an independent thinker and not going back to my friend Congressman Mark Walker, but that's where folk didn't like Odell when Odell decided to endorse a Republican. And people like, get back in line. It's no line for me to get in. I'm an independent thinker. I don't endorse parties only. I endorse the candidate, people who I believe in. And that's why even now, in spite of and because of the latest happenings, I'm still in support of Mark Walker. Now, I'm not in support of Trump and all that kind of stuff that Mark is doing with Trump right now, but I could separate my friend from what my friend appears to be doing. I can separate the two, and he can separate the same with me.
Absolutely.
So back to your point, you could separate the fact that you're a lifelong Republican, but is what's best for the children in spite of and because of. But being an independent thinker is a big deal. Now, when you run, will you run as a Republican, Democrat, or independent on the school board slate, sir?
I'm running unaffiliated. So it's independent.
Okay.
And I'm running against a Democrat and a Republican. So it'll be 3 people on the ballot.
So if I lived in District 3 and I'm a Democrat, I could vote for you in the general election.
In November 7th. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
And now here's the thing. In my district, the 38% are unaffiliated. 34% are Republican and the rest are Democrat.
Speaking about independent thinkers, so Bill, if that's the case, then you have a shot, man.
Yeah, I think I do.
Because I don't think all Republicans hate you, but I know it's a lot of them who do. I don't think
I know 10.
Okay, I don't think all Democrats like you, but I know of some who does. And I don't know a lot about the unaffiliated or the independent status
Well, they're
because
disgruntled Democrats or Republicans.
gotcha. Okay. So you know what to do, what you're going to do, and everything else. Speaking about disgruntled people, another one of our friends, associates, Roy Carroll, purchased a mansion, $4.5 or so million in the mansion. He purchased it, and then he checked it out and moved forward. My understanding to tear it down because he's going to build something bigger and better. And this is one of the, for people who don't know, this is one of the stately homes in our community.
And Roy's a billionaire.
And Roy's a billionaire, so he can do it, can afford to do it. And people were so upset. Some were so upset with him. The nerve of him to tear down this house that's been there forever. And some of the big business people in our community lived in those houses and everything else. I think that if you purchase something, you have the right to do what you need to do to your land. And if somebody else wanted to do something different, they should have purchased it.
Here's what happened.
Okay.
He purchased it for like 4-point-some million. Okay. Which is in that neighborhood. That's probably at the top end of the homes in that neighborhood. It's a nice area.
Right.
And it had quite a bit of land. I don't know how many acres it had. And I saw him the other night and I asked him, and he said,
so whoa. So you're hanging out with billionaires now, Bill?
Well, yes, I am.
Okay. So
that's how I roll, baby.
That's how you roll. You roll with billionaires. I ain't mad at you, pimp, and I ain't mad at you. You go right on. Go ahead with your story, sir.
And so we're talking, and he said, Bill, we went in, the house had all kinds of issues because it was so old. He said, we spent a lot of money looking at how can we renovate this thing and make it so that it fits us.
Right.
And still keep, the character of it. And he said, it'll probably cost me another $5 million.
Wow.
To do that. So here I am spending $10 million in an area that I've already spent 4-point-some million, which is the top end. That is not a good business decision.
And he didn't get to be a billionaire by making bad business decisions.
You got that right. So he views this now as an opportunity to build a compound that he can enjoy with his daughters and their husbands and their grandkids.
Compound.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that sounds.
Yeah.
Compound.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who are upset with him, for him spending his money, for him to, doing what he did, an older house, 60, 70, 80 years old. So
almost 100.
So we all know about maintenance. Trust me, I help run a very large facility, and maintenance and upkeep and all that's a big deal. So hats off to Roy Carroll. Roy, you keep doing what you're doing. You tough enough to make the decisions, and you tough enough to deal with all the incoming. So good for you.
Well, the house sat for sale for a long time.
Well, who has $4.5 million, Bill?
Plus they saw you buy it for that. You got to still put in a couple million to get it upgraded.
But who has $6 or $7 million? I mean, just hanging around, not me.
No, I know Trump doesn't because he can't make his bond.
Man, we ain't mess with Trump right now. We ain't mess with Trump, Trump and his bond, but that's not even the last bond. But I just, not that he needs my support, but I just said, kudos, Roy. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Roy's our friend.
Yeah, and just keep hanging out with Bill. So, because that's how Bill rolls, right?
I got invited to Virginia Fox's Republican fundraiser, and it was interesting.
He's still inviting you to things?
I think I crashed the party. I scared the heck out of him.
Okay.
But he did one for Mark Walker, and there's probably 200 to 300 people.
Yes.
In Roy's ballroom penthouse. This one was in Roy's living room with about 25, 30 people. And some of the people were the local GOP that I know didn't donate.
Well, how much it cost to get in? How much?
The cheapest price was $500.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you how much you paid. So it's just interesting. So was there any Democrats there? Any good-looking black, slim and trim black guys there?
I didn't see a black man.
So no black folk was in there?
No, I didn't see a Puerto Rican. Now, there was an Indian.
Boy, you need to stop. Goebel, you need to stop. You need to stop, Goebel. You need to stop. He was
a rich Indian, too.
Yeah, you need to stop,
He told me about his jet was bigger than anybody. It wasn't as big as Roy's, but it was big.
Let's keep going because we're starting to run out of time. But it's interesting. This new law came out. Speaking of millionaires and billionaires, a lot of people make their money in real estate. So it's a new law that's getting ready to come out. The National Association of Realtors just announced very big change, how that standard 6% that everybody and their mama paid look like now they're going to back off of that and said, hey, now you get to negotiate what percents that the seller.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
So now that's a big deal. Listen, man, you hanging out with billionaires, man. You know, you all probably was initiated the whole thing on getting it done. So what do you think about that, Bill?
I like that. You know, I'm all for competition. You know, people say in the school board, well, how do you feel about vouchers? How do you feel about charter schools? How do you feel about homeschool? How do you feel about private school? I said, it's competition. Competition is good. Now, I don't think they should take the money out of the budget of the school system to give
the public school system,
the public school, to give it to charter schools or to give vouchers. That should be a separate fund that is set up for those particular things.
It may come out of North Carolina lottery.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Follow that one.
Yeah. That was a bait and switch if you ever saw one.
Yeah, it sure is. Next podcast, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I did some checking on that and chicken actually. Okay.
So you for choice, but leave the public school dollars alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, what happens is people that can afford that aren't coming from the social economic challenged areas, they're not the ones going to charter school. They're not the ones getting vouchers. You know, you give somebody a voucher for $5,000, you go, oh my gosh, that's great. But the school costs 15.
Right.
You still got to come up with 10.
Well, yeah, you got a good point there. So that's why you said you believe in negotiating that 6%. Now that 6% goes down and say, hey, I'll sell your house, and instead of 6%, I will take 2.5%.
I have a buddy that when he does stuff like that, he'll go to the realtor. He said, I'm going to give you $5,000.
Just a flat rate.
$5,000.
No matter what the house costs.
Sell my house.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he, or whatever number he's going to give him, he gives him a number and he says, that's what I'm going to pay. If you're willing to do it for that, fine. If not, I'll find another person. He has no loyalty. Here's my problem. I've got a lot of friends that are realtors.
I have a son who's a realtor who owns a real estate company.
And if you didn't sell it through him, how do you think Bev would feel?
Listen, when we sell our property, it will go through Cleve Realty. It will go through my son's real estate company, believe me, whether we sell in North Carolina or South Carolina, because
now, if Trump calls you and offers you $1 million, you can still do it?
Man, you know. Trump, who's Trump? You know, Trump is a real estate guy himself. But
I know what Bev would say.
Hey, listen, man.
Take a hike.
Yeah, nah, I'm not gonna mess my marriage up. Politics, you know, because politics will mess up a marriage.
With you guys. We had a great time with you. Dory was under the weather, but she hung in there with us, and we did a lot of driving around. We ate a lot.
We had. It was, the food was good. Yeah, of course. One question, Bill. One last thing.
Yeah.
Now, it's an amazing interview, and you don't know this yet, so I'll share a little bit, and we can talk about it later. It's an amazing interview. Don Lemons, who used to be with, CNN, with Elon Musk. It's this new show, the Don Lemon Show, and Elon Musk came on, and Elon was not prepared. It's talking about the digital town square for all, and Elon just stumbled over two big points. He stumbled over slavery. He stumbled over diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Musk's like, I don't believe in it. And he just messed it up, Bill. And I know he's a smart guy, but I think that it sounded like in an interview, whatever Elon is used to just stating his opinions and nobody really questioning him. Mm-hmm. And Don, as we know, just came from being fired from CNN. So Don has came through a lot. So when you start talking about LGBTQ issues and all those issues, Don was just hitting him with those questions, like looking at a boxing match. And it's like, Elon.
Hardcore questions.
Yeah, defend yourself. And it's like he had no defense. And I don't think he was prepared for that interview, because it was an hour-long interview. And toward the end is when it got him, and Don wasn't like beating him up with it, just questions. And Elon's like, well, when it comes to racism and slavery and all that, we just need to move on. Quit talking about it. And I'm like, the nerve of you.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. One is Don Lemon brought him on to cause controversy, to give his show publicity.
Yes.
So that's why he picked those subjects, because he knew that he's going to get Elon Musk, who came from South Africa.
Doing apartheid?
Grew up in apartheid.
So as a white guy growing up,
I don't know if he was involved in it, but that was going on when he was a kid.
well, I mean, whether one's involved in it or not, if Odell grew up in Jim Crow South, whether I'm involved in it, I'm birthed in it. So I had to operate, maneuver within it, right?
Yeah, and you probably had some opinions.
I had some opinions, and some opinions will get you hung.
Yeah. So Don Lemon, that was a calculated thing that Don Lemon did to give himself some publicity. You know, Elon Musk, I don't think he ever prepares for an interview. I think he just goes by the seat of his pants.
Well, he got his hat handed to him on that.
My brother Richard interviewed him for 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, when he was trying to raise money for his electric car, my brother was involved in the first online banking.
Wow.
Called Next Card, and he came in to get get a loan, a big loan, and so my brother and a couple people interviewed him, and I said, "Well, what was it like to spend 3 hours with Elon Musk?" He said, "We couldn't figure out if he was brilliant or crazy."
Well, for those who want to listen to it, it's on X, former Twitter, Don Lemon's show, Elon Musk, because what Elon was trying to do, to your point, is bring in Don from the left, because he had people like, what's the name of the gentleman who was at Fox News, and he got kind of kicked off, and he went and interviewed Tucker Carlson. So he was trying to get some there.
Yeah, he's trying to get the Tucker effect.
Exactly.
Why do you think Tucker went to see Putin?
Oh, come on, man. That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. We should probably close up.
Wait a minute. Before we close up, though, let's just put on we had on the Barack Obama hat the whole time. Let's put on the Obama shades. Let's start. Let's end the way we start, baby. Black is back, baby. Black is back. We got the President Obama bobblehead. You have on the hat. You have on the shades. And guess what? North Carolina, we got some work to do. We have a governor's race. We have a presidential race. We have congressional races, not really, because it's been redistricting, and it got to the point where even the Democrats won't even run in some of these areas. And now we have Congressman Mark Walker would have been a great congressman.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been a great congressman.
No doubt about that.
And it just shows that sometime it looked like the game is rigged. But that's politics, and remember, all politics are local. Bill, you have the last word. So you are the resident politician here. And
you have an Obama hat. There's a hat called Make America Great Again. I'm going to change it.
What's you going to call it?
Make Parma Great Again.
President Trump going to get you. He's going to sue you for copyright laws and everything else.
Make Parma Great Again.
I don't know. Parma is great. We just thank God for America. And, we have some tough sledding to do, guys. We have some tough sledding to do. And
it'll be a wild November.
It's going to be a wild, wild November. Yep. And let's hope we don't lose friends and family members and get into too heated discussions over it. But hey, it's a lot on the line. It's a lot on the line. And back to your question and your point that if Black people would have stormed the Capitol, I think the outcome would have been a whole lot different, my friend. Amen. A whole lot different.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Find Bill and Odell online at thecommonground.show. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
This podcast is brought to you by Yes Weekly, the Triad's largest circulated and best read weekly magazine. You can also find us online at yesweekly.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes Weekly, your trusted news leader for local arts, entertainment, music, food, and more for nearly 18 years.
Whether you're a big, medium, or small business, managing and growing the bottom line is important. Focus CFO brings the experience and financial acumen of a Fortune 100 chief financial officer to your company at a fraction of the cost. P&L help, internal reporting processes, or any business transitions or events. Focus CFO will help you and your team have a CFO in your company's back pocket. Focus CFO. Learn more at focuscfo.com.